I think a lot of America just found out that Tracy Chapman is black.
Really?
Yeah. I think for a lot of Americans, the way that they know this song is through Luke Combs, a country music star. They knew it was covered, but the song came out in 1988.
Mm-hmm.
And she had basically not performed this song for 9 years. And Luke Combs does it. It becomes a smash hit, not just in the country music award or country music scene, but in the Billboard just generally. And I think people knew the song Fast Car because it's an amazing song from maybe their childhood or from a previous generation. But until she gets on stage with Luke Combs, I don't think a lot of America knew the story of Fast Car or Tracy Chapman.
That's
what
interesting.
if I told you that I didn't really know who Tracy Chapman was or that there was a song called Fast Car? What if this is all brand new to me right now?
Wait, so Fast Car, you didn't know the song Fast Car, the original? No?
I mean, look, man, I consider myself fairly knowledgeable of at least what exists, even if I'm not listening to it. And yeah, this started trending yesterday. I'm seeing this on the timeline. I watched the video. I listened to the song. It's a good song. Never heard it. Didn't ring any bells. Didn't trigger any nostalgia. Nothing. Hadn't heard the cover. Barely know who Luke Combs is. I don't know what to tell you, Tom.
Oh my God. So Tracy Chapman wrote this song in like 1988. It becomes a huge hit in America. She's like this folk singer, gay black singer in 1988 who, this is an amazing song about poverty and coming out of poverty and struggling to make it, you've got a fast car. Let's get out of here and start our own life. And here comes Luke Combs in 2023. This heavy dude, country white singer who's straight, family, all this stuff that is kind of contra what the singer-songwriter was in 1988, and then becomes a huge hit. And there is this discussion, Trey, about how this appropriation of white dude covers Tracy Chapman's song and then it becomes a hit. And how does Tracy feel about this? And then last night at the Grammys, she's performing with Luke Combs and she's got the guitar, right? She's playing the song and Luke Combs is playing the vocals as much as like he's the backup singer to Tracy Chapman. She's the star. And so for a lot of people who love that song, it kind of was this, all right, we're cool. We're cool. Like Tracy's cool with it. All right, we're good now.
Well, they always got to be cool with it. You know what I mean? Like that's the legal part about it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, that's my song. All right, I need royalties. She just made, I think it was $500,000 for a song Nicki Minaj sample without her permission.
Oh, she sued Nicki Minaj and won in court. And Luke Combs said, hey, we followed all the rules here. You can make a cover. You just got to pay royalties. And he, I think, said in the first 3 months that this song came out, and it's been a year or so, they had paid $500,000 to Tracy Chapman in royalties.
Oh, yeah, that's her price. That's her price for sure. But I think the whole appropriation thing is kind of corny and it's lazy. Because, I mean, you can go to Sinead O'Connor doing Nothing Compares to You that Prince did. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to happen. These are the things. These are songs that sometimes ain't going to never cross. The original is never going to cross. And then you come back and be like, oh, this was somebody else's song? Sure. You know what I mean? They just recreate. Still like an artist. Put your own little twist on it. That's how life works. We all use references. The same thing with the Anthony Edwards commercial. Like everybody was like, oh my God, Adidas. And it's like, that's the band commercial from Jordan. Like, you know what I mean? Like these are.
Wait, what was that? So I missed this. What was the Adidas thing?
Adidas took a jab at Nike, right? And they had like one of the most popular spots. It was fun. It was, loose. It kind of heroed Anthony Edwards' personality, you know what I mean? And, it pans up. It starts from, it was the complete opposite. It goes like down until it gets to his shoes, right? And then he's talking the whole time, like talking shit. And it's kind of like, you know, the same thing about like, yo, these shoes are so good you can't, even the NBA banned them. It's the same shit. It was the same concept. It was just kind of like refreshing references. So the same thing with cover art, like cover music. It's like, dog, it's not appropriation. It's just like, oh, when you got songwriters together, they're kind of like, yo, I think your voice specifically could be do with this. And it's going to take a hit. You know what I'm saying? Even Jermaine Dupri just recently heard someone sample a beat he made for Mariah Carey 15 years ago and was like, oh, I'm not mad that this kid has sampled this, which was a song. It was a rap song for Yeet, but it was the We Belong Together song for Mariah Carey. But they just end up throwing drill rap over the top, right? So he's like, oh, I understand the TikTok algorithm. I just need to make 2 changes and apply it to my new artist. His new artist has a song out. This shit is blowing up. And he made 2 adjustments to an old ass beat because he understands how to manipulate the system. Now, with TikTok has helped so many older artists get royalties, get them new money because people love to discover things for the first time. So, Mace, we're not shaming you because you've never heard Fast Car. Welcome to the Fast Car revolution. Now,
I'm one of the basic people now going on iTunes, be like, who's this Tracy Chapman? Let me play Fast Car 50 times, and that's how she gets to #1 on iTunes. Literally last night after the Grammys performance. It also reminds me of the Kate Bush running up that hill from Stranger Things. They play that in Stranger Things, and everybody's like, who is this Kate Bush? And what is up with this song? And that song dominated Spotify for 3 months. It was inescapable. And we had a similar thing happen with Saltburn, which just came out, and then Murder on the Dance Floor, which is kind of that's not even like it had a first wave. Like that song existed, and then it's the naked dance at the end of Saltburn. I'm hearing it on the radio. I'm hearing it on the broadband FM radio now, Murder on the Dance Floor. It's crazy how that can happen. It's TikTok, it's movies, it's culture. It gives things a second life.
The real heroes are the people that score movies. Placement people.
The music supervisors.
Yes.
Shout out to my friend Nicole. She's a music soup, so I've been like paying attention to that for a while. She did the Wednesday. There's like the Wednesday Addams Netflix show that came out, I think last year. There's like a dance sequence set to like this goth rock song at the school, and she placed that song, and she was doing interviews about that because everybody's like, wow, what a great choice.
Yeah. Like Bruce Hornsby, The Show Goes On was the opening
of the
score
Bear.
for The Bear. And I'm like, this song, I remember The Sopranos might have had it in one of their episodes, but it just relives like, man, this song is awesome. And there's 100 of those, right? There's 100
music's
songs.
My favorite time machine. Because it could jog good or bad. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing. Like, you hear it, not only is it triggering whatever you saw or what you're looking at the particular moment, but it might make you feel a way as soon as you hear it. Like, yo, yeah, I'm watching this show, but I ain't heard this in so long. I had no reason to turn this back on. I'm never probably going to revisit this album again or this actual single. And here I am thinking about the time when I was 15 doing this, that, and the third, or I was with this person, or man, you know.
Trey got a fast car, you know.
There you
he
go.
remembers.
Do you have songs that like are like super happy, but always bring you back to a really dark time in your life? Like when you hear it, everyone's like dancing, and you're like, oh, I hate this. I don't like this song.
I mean, it's not necessarily a happy song, but I was listening to a lot of Kings of Leon in the summer of 2009 as I was traveling across Europe by myself. So it was every time I hear Kings of Leon, I'm like, yep, that's me in a French hostel at 11 p.m. listening to my iPod at the time. It's a time machine. Trey said it right.
2 songs that were played at funerals that are totally ruined for me. You know what I'm saying? Music Soul's Child, Teach Me How to Love. So like most people are like,
yeah,
teach me how to. You know what I mean?
The third song on the mixtape you make for a girl you like. but not Trey.
Yeah, and I'm like sitting here like, dang, man, they played this for my friend that passed away when I was like 20. Like, so I can't even listen to it the same way. Like, yes, I would love to sing along because it's such a beautiful song, but then it's like that memory. And then like Young Jokić going down. They played that at a funeral. Yes, they did. And I just can't hear it the same. It was a guy, his name is also Trey, who passed away. He was murdered, and that was his favorite song he liked. So like the song and the dance was popular at the time, and everybody, instead of it making it a sad thing, it was more of a celebration. So everybody just like they played this song extremely at ignorant levels at the funeral, and everybody's just sad, but like doing the jock. Everybody's jocking, and it's like, oh, I'm never gonna forget this moment because it's attached to that. So, you know, certain songs that you hear, and you know, or somebody can tell a story and like, yo, you didn't know, but like me and your mom grew up together, and like this was our song. So like you try to find that little connection of like, let me put myself in her shoes and listen. And now it's a thing of calm. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I think about my mom, or, you know what I mean? Like, or you see an actual thing of like a flower or something. I don't know. Whatever it is, it could be a saying. It's something that just jogs your memory. And I think that's the beauty of quote unquote music.
When I was 9 years old, I had like a sleep disorder and I couldn't sleep and I was depressed. And like every time the sun would go down, I'd get all sorts of anxiety. And of course, when I'm 9 years old, I don't know what any of this means, right? But I couldn't sleep at night. I get these nightmares and it was terrible. And for whatever reason, Mariah Carey, Fantasy, that song brings me back to that anxiety. So every time that fucking song comes on, I get all like, shit.
Yep.
And it's like the happiest song.
The sun goes down in Tom's heart. It's grim and cold. It's nighttime. Man, that's a wildly happy song.
Wildly happy song. And people like at the club or at the bar, when it comes on, it's just like it's good vibes. And for me, it is total bad vibes. Complete opposite. But I think we can all agree that if NBC gets this new deal with the NBA, if they bring back Round Ball Rock.
Oh, man.
Doesn't mean the product's going to be good, because I'm really struggling right now with the ABC 8:30 tip-offs. I don't love it as a near 40-year-old. I'm just going to tell you that I do not like these late tip-offs.
Hey, let's talk about trading that for a 6:30 tip-off, because we're going to talk trade deadline here. Let's go.
Boom. Yes, I'm all in for a 6:30 tip-off. That gives enough people room enough to get off work and commute to the game or get home. I don't think it's too late. And you finish at like 8:45.
Yeah, but Maze is in finishing up his lunch at 3:00 when it's being played over in Pacific time at 6:30.
No one cares about the West Coast. What are we talking about? This is the East Coast podcast, guys.
Wait. Why are you eating lunch so late?
I don't know. Yeah, that was a weird thing that Tom threw on me right there. You know, sometimes
I'm trying to think of what made it 3:30. I don't know.
It's high tea, Tom.
I feel like 3:30 is like a weird line of like, I've missed that window of lunch and like I'm almost preparing for like an early dinner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I've become a 5:30 dinner guy. I think that's such a good spot.
Let's go.
If you can get
5:30 dinner right before 6:30 tip. I mean, then Trey's in bed by 9:30. It's all set. 5:30.
They want you out. You know, you got that nice little restaurant window where you got to be out by 7 so they can get the next people in. 5:30 to 7. Your commute. You're home by 7. Shower. Whatever you need to do. Get cozy on the couch. Watch a little basketball. Be done by 9.
100%.
Sleep by 10. Because I just think I don't think we should be awake beyond 10 p.m.
Trey, you sound like you have 2 little kids right now. Because what you're saying is like, I didn't believe this until I had kids. But you're so much more mature than I was before I had kids. Because I'm like, I can't have a drink after 8:00 anymore.
It's tough.
Like I'm all in on like having beers before the sun goes down. Because anything after that, Tom, it's dark. Rough.
You're sad. I get it.
It's all sad.
I was watching an interview yesterday. It's pretty dated. It's probably like a month late. but the group Little Brother from North Carolina, Fonte said one thing, right? And he was like, why would I want to go on stage at 11:30 when my fans have jobs?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, he's over caring for the consumer. Like,
I'm
you know
constantly,
what I mean?
when there's a concert, I'm constantly looking at the set list, like .com or whatever, and seeing when the actual artist comes on. If it's past like 8 o'clock, I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know if I can do that. I totally agree.
Because he's like, artists don't think about the planning to go to this, especially if you have children. The babysitter, the parking, the ticket purchase, potential merch, a drink or two, and the next morning. Because I've been to shows where I'm like, yo, he's still not on. Like, I don't want to see the opener. I respect the opener. I understand the journey, but I don't want to see the opener. You know why I'm here. Why are you going to come on at 10:30? Why are you going to come on 11? Especially in New York. I'm probably going to have to go to Terminal 5, which is like near Central Park. I live in Brooklyn. So that's like a 50 to an hour commute home on the train. Just to say I heard 6 songs from you. Because I'm leaving your set early. I'm not going to stay at 2. I went to go see Lauryn Hill. I got to the show roughly around 9. She was an hour late. I was on time. I had to leave close to 10:15 because Wyclef and the Fugees wanted to take it to 2 a.m.
Oh, my God.
And they were down to pay the fine at Barclays. They were down to pay the fine to keep the party going. And
so
I was just
did you know that Fugees were coming? Like they were?
No, I didn't
so
know
that
they
was
were on
just
the
like,
tap.
Wow.
She did like a whole thing. She's from Jersey. So like, you know, like she brought out her first teacher, the college roommate, the person she rode the bus with. She introduced her child's father, who they're not even together, but like they're cool, their son. Like it was just like, and I'm like, I like Miseducation of Lauryn Hill because it's 20th anniversary. That's what it was. So she was just like doing a lot of storytelling. But I'm like, Miss Hill, you stole an hour. I left dinner kind of like, because I read the reviews that you're normally late. So I'm like, hopefully I just missed 1-2 songs of yours. But the fact that I came an hour late, like I was able to finish a bottle of wine, pull up, and be on time. Like the first song is just now playing and it's been going. Oh man, I was out. I'm checked out. I'm sounding old to our listeners now because y'all have grown up with me. I think that's a whole nother thing. Never listen to the fans. Just have the fans go on the journey with you. Because we're getting to a point of like, we've been podcasting since 2015, which is kind of crazy. Almost 10 years, right? And people have watched us, like, they've watched Maze have an integral role in growing in this shit. Like Maze I invited Maze to a live show and he was taking pictures. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't even know I was a black man. You know what I mean?
Tracy Chapman.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I had the Tracy Chapman situation. So like, I mean, like, I think it's been a beauty, you know, to watch the goods and the bads. You know what I'm saying? Like your commitment work with ALS, you know what I'm saying? And people getting to actually meet your parents and people getting to meet my mom getting shot. Like people have lived with us in the journey. So as we continue to go, if we're doing this shit for 20 years or whatever, I'm like, oh, yo, I just had my first kid. People are going to be randomly coming up to me talking about, yo, congrats. I remember when you was a teacher. Oh, I remember when you had your first kid. Shit is crazy.
I remember when you tore your meniscus.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not about being a teacher. It's about you tearing your meniscus.
It's about the TMC club and how we started running TMC. Speaking of TMC, Joel Embiid, talk to me, Tom.
So we're going to do this show. It's the Coming Home podcast. That's Trey Edwards. That's Anthony Mays at the ones and twos. We've got a big show today. We're going to talk trade deadline because, of course, Thursday afternoon / night is the trade deadline. Lots of trades have already happened. The OG Anunoby trade, a bunch of things have happened. But now I've got a trade proposal that I'm going to share in a little bit. We've got Joel Embiid, who's undergoing a procedure for a flap is the way we're describing it. In weird terms, we're going to get into that. But Joel Embiid is, he he has another meniscus injury, and now the whole entire season for the 76ers is obviously in flux. So we're going to talk about the Embiid injury, what that means for the rest of the Eastern Conference and his future. We're also going to hit on the maybe most weird, heartwarming story in the NBA is Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks. As soon as Trey moves to New York, the Knicks get good again. So thank you, Trey, for that. So the Embiid segment is going to be for our Patreon, patreon.com/countthedings. We're going to talk some inside baseball, I think, about the media reporting around that story, Joel Embiid, and the breaking news there. So we're going to save that for our Patreon, and we might have a special guest. We'll get to that later. But first, I found something.
What'd you find?
I found an article and wrote about it at tomthefinder.com.
You hear it, people.
The founding finder, Tom Haberstroh.
I found a trade framework that I really like.
Okay. Let me hear it.
Can I tell you guys?
Absolutely.
For the listeners right now, if you want the full write-up, go to tomthefinder.com, subscribe, become part of the millions. I would dare say I'm going to have more subscribers than the people who are going to watch the Super Bowl this week. Join the hundreds of millions of people who have subscribed to tomthefinder.com to get the full story. But I think Maze, Trey, the Warriors should go all in for Ish Smith.
Shouts to Ish, man. Ish got to start the other day. Good for him.
Yeah, you know, Chris Paul's out, so bring in the other Wake Forest point guard. We got it.
I do have a Wake Forest guy going in this trade, though. I'm just kidding. Love you, Ish. The trade is the Golden State Warriors trade Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, 2 firsts for Lauri Markkanen, Chris Dunn, John Collins, and Simone Fontecchio. Now, the basic headline here is the Warriors finally merge the 2 timelines and say, let's go get the star. And the reason why I say this is because Steph Curry just dropped 60 points in a overtime loss over the weekend against the Atlanta Hawks. And I'm sitting here being like, this can't be it, man. This can't be it. You can't be sitting on 3 really good young players, 2 first-round picks, and Chris Paul's expiring contract. It's $30 million next year, non-guaranteed, right? $30 million this year, $30 million next year, and just ride this out. The Warriors are under 500. They're outside of the play-in picture. This can't be right. This can't be right. Do right by Steph Curry and go try to find that star. And to me, I think the Utah Jazz might be a suitor for that package. What do you guys think?
I do think they should do right by Steph Curry, but I don't think that would happen. I do see Chris Paul potentially heading to Orlando or Kyle Lowry. I think the Warriors should send Andrew Wiggins to Toronto, but I don't see that happening. I don't know what the pieces are there left.
Yes, maybe the Bruce Brown.
Maybe they get Bruce Brown, you know what I mean? But I don't know how much of a, you know what I mean? Like, where's the projection of Bruce Brown going with that? You know what I mean? Like, where that is.
But so for philosophically, Trey, are you down with the Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond had their run, the dynasty's over, let's just run this out, let it run its course, and if the future is Kuminga, Moody, and Podziemski, it's fine. That's okay. Like, they had their time. Or is it, hey man, if Steph Curry is averaging 30 plus and dropping 60 points, we got to do everything we can to go for another championship run?
Yeah, I think that the championship window is finally closed. I'm finally looking back and feel safe enough to actually say this, because, like, you know, talking bad on the Warriors used to be motivation and fuel. It used to be crazy. You used to almost have to look over your shoulder because they were right there, and you almost looked like a fool by the time June came up. So this is the first year I honestly can be like, it's not happening. But I do respect keeping the trio together. Like, I mean, I don't see them playing elsewhere. It's going to be a sad show seeing Draymond in another uniform or Klay in a uniform. And I also don't think that they're going to get there where they are with this roster. This roster just did not pan out how they thought it would. So yeah, I don't really know. Cause I mean, like I said, they just had to do what they had to do. Kuminga is definitely, growing into a player. I think he's still like a year or two to be like an actual 1-2 punch with Steph, but like Steph don't have that many years either. I mean,
yeah, his
60 still felt like 60. It wasn't like, go get 60, bro. It was like, oh, he trying to win this game, and it just happened to be 60 points he needed to score. It's not like, hey, stay in, keep shooting, and, we just, hey, and douse you with water to say, like, you scored 60. No, like, he still could go get it. But there are so many, like, red marks in this team, and I just don't know. I think the commitment of just, like, being too loyal is a problem for the Warriors.
Yeah, Clay's an expiring deal, $40 million.
He should have been traded before the camp even started, to be honest. And they should have tried to figure out something to keep Jordan Poole there. Jordan Poole shouldn't have been the one to go, because despite all that other stuff, I think that Jordan Poole actually was just the most Warrior inheritant guy. You know what I mean? Like, despite the Draymond stuff, I still think it still would have worked.
What's clear is he's not the problem, right? Like, he wasn't the problem. Like, there's still a 500 team going nowhere without Jordan Poole and keeping the core together. Maze, you're laughing over there. You're in the Bay.
Well,
how do you feel about this whole...
I love Trey saying we should have found a way to keep Jordan Poole when Draymond punched him in the face and ruined the vibes for the entire team chemistry. Like, obviously that's Draymond's fault. We all know whose fault that is. But I wanted to go to this article on the Finder that you wrote, Tom. Jonathan Kuminga's never played better than he is now, and that's why they should trade him.
Yeah.
Jonathan Kuminga's 24 points a game in the last 9. I also found the thing that I sent to the chat that since his haircut.
Since my meme. That's my meme, dog.
That's his meme, man.
Like, Warriors
royalties,
fans
bro.
Warriors fans
don't Tracy Chapman him here right now. Okay?
Literally hit me up and said they can't watch Warriors games without seeing Kuminga as Mickey Mouse without ears. And I was like, you're welcome. I'm glad I can ruin this experience for you. But also, yes, he's the only player in NBA history to actually play better with a bad haircut.
Mm-hmm.
Like, his confidence is the complete opposite. Normally you want to hide and you're like,
biblical Samson, he cut the hair off and he got his power back. And
the power's in the widow's peak.
That's always the hardest thing to do, though, is he's finally playing well. Let's get him out of here. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You want to believe that can be the future, and then that can be a sign of the change to come. I mean, watching this Warriors team all year, they've given away so many games in the last 2 minutes. It's unbelievable. The 60-point Steph game against the Hawks went to overtime, and of course they blew it in overtime. Yep. They have a lot of interesting pieces, but they don't have enough space to give everybody the time that they need. So and everybody's been on Kerr about his rotations. Like, I'm sure the Light Years pod, Andy and Sam have been just basking in the vindication of yet another Steve Kerr rotation disaster all year long.
Yeah.
But I don't know, for whatever reason, to me personally, I like the idea of bringing in Lauri Markkanen for Kuminga and Pods, who I think has been a really frisky rookie. But
frisky, yeah. He's good, man. He's good.
He's a hustle player. He's everywhere.
Yeah. Esfandiari thinks it's too expensive. What my trade proposal, that he thinks the Warriors giving up way too much for Lauri Markkanen, and then he's like, but Markkanen's also 26, and he made the point, which I write in the article. He's 26, entering his prime, and he's a star, like bona fide star.
Yeah.
Klay Thompson is a 50, 40, 90 guy that in his prime was like a top 25 player, all-star player. Lowry's that right now and 7 feet tall. And Esfandiari, like, he coined it. He's like prime 7-foot Klay Thompson. You get him. That's awesome. That's awesome for the Warriors as a guy that you can kind of phase into the next iteration of the Warriors. Secondly, he's making $18 million this year. He's getting paid like a strong rotation player, and he's a bona fide star. He's 14th in EPM this year. That's an all-in-one metric. He's a top 15 player by EPM, and he's being paid less than Bojan Bogdanović, okay, for the next 2 seasons. So why would Utah give him up? Great question. 2 words. Cooper Flag. Cooper Flag. Okay. Lauri Markkanen is too good for Danny Ainge to get.
You know who's
Cooper
better
Flag.
than? You know who's better than Cooper Flag?
Ace Bailey.
Ace Bailey.
Ace Bailey. 2 words. Ace Bailey. Okay, maybe that's 4 words. Cooper Flag. Ace Bailey. So
people don't want to hear that though. They're glazing Cooper, so I understand. I do like Cooper though. He if I'm a defensive minded coach, I'm salivating. You know what I mean? Like, because that kid has a motor, he understands it. But Ace Bailey is getting overlooked at this moment.
All right. So my point is, if you want an Ace Bailey or a Cooper Flag or whomever is the next 2025 top draft pick, you can't have Lauri Markkanen on the team because you're not getting him. Lauri's too good. He's too good. So you have Markkanen for the next 2 years and you can extend him. But I think what Danny Ainge in the front office want to do is do the next OKC. They want to be the next OKC.
Of course, and everybody wants to be that.
Sure. But it's going to take a couple years of bottoming out. Mm-hmm. And they lost out on Wemby. They were too good for the Wemby sweepstakes. And I think Danny Ainge and the Utah Jazz, I think they want to find their Wemby. And I think they're going to, have this crossroads. 2 timelines. Are we Jordan Clarkson, John Collins, and Lauri Markkanen? Or are we the young kids, Walker Kessler and Keontae George and Taylor Hendricks? Which one are we? And so merge the timelines. That's what I'm saying. The Warriors trading for Lauri Markkanen, giving up Pods, giving up Kuminga. You keep Moody for a defensive guy who can defend wings because you need that guy. But this is I don't know. I feel
but Tom, Jonathan Kuminga, since his haircut, he's going to be too good to get Cooper Flag too.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, man.
Maybe in a few years, but not in the next year. He's 21 years old, so
it's true.
But yeah, is Lauri Markkanen? So Lauri Markkanen's not on the trade block. I just want to be clear. Like, there's no indication that he
should be. He should be. Free him.
I mean, anybody's on the trade block for the right price for Danny Ainge.
Yeah, I was gonna say
the deal that he wants. He's going to get the exact cost. When he turned,
what do you get back for Lauri Markkanen?
Sweepstakes and got 4 picks. So I think he'll find his trade.
Well, what do you get back for Lauri Bird? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think.
So the Warriors in this trade package, they're giving up 5 assets to get him. So 2 first-round picks, unprotected, Kuminga and Pods. All right. Okay. And then you get the expiring deal, the Chris Paul contract to get off the John Collins contract, which is, I think Mark Stein has been reporting this season, and correct me if I'm wrong, it might be somebody else, but that if they're going to make a deal, they might try to get off some of that long-term money. So if OKC comes in and is like, here's 7 first-rounders for Lauri Markkanen.
That would be a hell of a move, adding Lauri. That would be a hell of a move. You know what I'm saying? That makes your team so much better. Damn. You know what I mean? Like, it's just certain players that you just come up off of, and you're just like getting it's like getting motherfucking Mikal Bridges. I seen a report about, I think it was Matt Moore. Matt Moore was talking about that he heard that the offer for Mikal Bridges was 5 first-round picks. And I'm like, do you know how fast I would have Miles Bridges' bags packed?
Mikal Bridges, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I'm sorry, Mikal Bridges. Yeah. You know how. Yeah, his price is way lower. He's in a tier 3, Nasir Little in 2 second rounds. But Mikal Bridges, 5 first-round picks, you gotta go. I even seen the same thing. I think Matt reported was more so Tim Hardaway Jr. for 3 firsts. And I'm like, these dudes don't really change so much, but man, they add so much value. And I think hitting on, since we're in this little space, the Tyus Jones, the DeLon Wrights, the Gary Trents, you know what I mean? Like the Chris Pauls, the Kyle Lowrys. Kyle Lowry still doesn't even have a number. I don't even think he ever stepped foot in Charlotte. You know what I mean? Like these are the guys that can actually still add some type of value. The Jordan Clarksons, the Andrew Wiggins. They're going to find a home and they're going to get somewhere, and you're going to love them when they get on your team. I don't think it's a Rasheed Wallace acquisition that just gives you a championship immediately. But sometimes those type of players, like I seen talk about for Caruso, they want an OG type deal. Excuse me? But it's the year of the
I love
picks.
Caruso, though.
It's the year of the picks. So I understand.
But OG didn't get... Anunoby only got a second round pick, and it was an early second round pick. So it's the Detroit. It's going to be the 31st pick, and then OG got Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett. So if Caruso gets 2 firsts, which I think is what the asking price is, that's more in terms of draft pick capital than the OG trade. I think the Knicks got OG at a crazy discount. But the first round pick, they didn't get a first round pick, but it basically is a first round pick because it's 31, right?
Yeah.
You know who I was like, oh, OKC, who would they trade for Lauri Markkanen? Salary wise, Bertans is exactly the contract for Markkanen. It's $17 million.
Okay.
So if you go Bertans and a bunch of firsts, I mean, it's wild. I mean, OKC could do it. I don't think Sam Presti's going to do it. I think Sam Presti's going to ride this season out and see what they have. But that roster, that core with Josh Giddey.
Trey, do you think that's a mistake? Do you think if OKC doesn't make a move this year that, like, there's a lot of talk of, like, you can never count on your window being as long as you think it's going to be, right? And that happened with the first OKC team. They made the finals, and then that was it. They never made the finals again. Like, should they be under the pressure to make a move to complete the team they have, or should they ride it out with the young guys?
No, I think that's the problem now, especially with fans and consumers of the sport, is more so thinking that you need to do now instead of trusting what you got. You get what I'm saying? And they have what other teams don't have that you can't buy as the chemistry. And these are guys that really like, and obviously they're going to have a money issue sooner or later, which they probably let Giddey go and let him walk, which is like, thank you. You know, you were great. And now you draft, and now you get, you know, you add another player, you know what I mean? Because they're so good at like developing you. It's almost like the true, like if I'm the G League, I'm trying to run my shit like the Oklahoma Thunder. You feel me?
Heat culture. Yeah.
You know, like those type of organizations that know how to like groom their players the right way and get them prepared in personal situations to thrive in the NBA. And I just think that they shouldn't trade, because once they break up that team, or they go and kind of give up whatever they have to give up to add a guy, especially like a Lauri. I don't think Lauri comes with heavy personality, but he definitely changed the way how they approach the game. You know what I mean? And like a lot of shit is ran through Shea. And, you know, guys, they're, like I said, they're tight. You know what I mean? You got the 2 Jalen Williams, you got Lou Dort, you got, I mean, you can go down the line. Chet, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's just like, it's down the line. They just got guys that's just kind of piling up, and like, they're only going to get better as they continue, long as they can kind of keep the whole Shea's our guy. Chet's the only person that can really fuck that up, because he's in the shadows, but he's young enough to be the number 2. His ego would have to grow so big the next year of like, I'm better than Shea, and Shea need to get off the rock, and I need to be a number 1. And I don't see that happening, at least not next year, but it'll be a Russell Westbrook, KD kind of thing down the line, because he wants, but like I said, he has to succeed.
There's no big 3 in Miami, though, that OKC has to worry about.
No.
So in my opinion, like, who does OKC look at and be like, yo, we need to get a Markkanen in order to beat that team? Mm-hmm. I don't think there's that maybe the Celtics, but they would only have to face them in the finals, right?
I mean, isn't it Jokić?
Yeah. Yes.
Like if they go into the playoffs and it's the Western Finals and it's Thunder Nuggets and Jokić rips right through them like he has with just about any team, is that like I've heard the main thing I've heard is they at least need to get more big bodies. They need to get at least one more big body to throw 6 fouls at Jokić.
But he's so good that I don't even think you can do anything to slow him down. Like, maybe I'm just biased because I've just watched the Blazers just get absolutely shredded by Jokić. And DeAndre Ayton had like 30 points and still it was not even like, didn't even do anything to Jokić because he controls the game in such a way that like, we were talking pregame show and it was like, how do you defend Jokić? Do you foul him? Do you double him? Do you guard him with a Tamani Kamara, like a guard, so that you can have a big at the rim? There's no good answer against that dude. So I guess the question is,
a few guys like that. Luka, you can't guard them type of dudes that like are threats that actually like to pass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That are really good passers. I think those are the most dangerous players. I mean, like at one point in time, you could say LeBron James too. I don't even see LeBron as like a strong number one. I think he's a good number two, like a great number two at his age. So
yeah. Well, I think the pieces that the Nuggets have to what Maze's point is like AG and Jamal Murray are way better than anything Luka has. And so if they get those two guys, and man, can you imagine if the Mavericks had like Jalen Brunson?
Whoa, that's crazy. Yeah, another ball handler, a lefty, creating shots, letting Luka go to the bench every once in a while.
Who can get a whole city, the greatest city, the largest city in America to get on their feet chanting MVP. Imagine if Luka had that kind of player on his team.
Unimaginable. I can't, just like Tracy Chapman, I have no idea what that would look like.
So I love this story. The Knicks, I grew up outside of New York City. The Knicks have never had a great point guard for years. They've gone through Raymond Felton. They've gone through Stephon Marbury. They've gone through all these amazing names that just didn't pan out.
Pablo Prigioni.
Charles Pablo.
And now they get Jalen Brunson, who has taken over the city. Like, Trey, I don't know if you saw this coming, but this is awesome for the league, for the Knicks fans, for I think just about everybody except for maybe Luka. This is not the glow up you want to see, considering he was on your team, and then just boom, now being an all-star, first all-star team, and the kind of guy that the Knicks love. He's maybe 6 feet tall, maybe. But he's a rock. You can't move him. He's got crazy good footwork. We broke down the film on the Finder with Brandon Payne. Just all the little subtle things that Jalen Brunson does that you can't guard him. He gets into the paint religiously. Like I think he leads the league in paint points this season.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, especially with Ja Morant out. Such an amazing fit. I mean, obviously it's a story where you can't really make up. You know what I mean? You only see this in like Disney stories where someone's actually been so close to a franchise and then actually goes to play for them, and and it feels like it's like it was such a good fit. I've been screaming it since the trade that they got him on a discount. For $5 for $120 a year, because I knew where the going price was, and a lot of people didn't think that he was good. But I didn't see this early birth of an all-star. I definitely had him as an all-star the year. I thought I like to point them head on, him and Tyrese Halliburton. You know what I mean? As the Ken and Ryus of young point guards in the league. But I have seen some very hot takes since I've been here. Especially a few days ago, someone said like Brunson was a better Knick than Carmelo Anthony, and I'm just like, whoa.
Well, first of all, we've had 2 years of Jalen Brunson.
Yes.
Like let's see this movie let's watch the entire movie before we start saying shit like that.
But again, you're talking to New Yorkers. You're talking to like, you get something nice, you ride it out, so you can't ride it out. And like, he hasn't had enough bad games enough for him to like not be what it is. I'm hearing MVP talks from our buddy Amin. He's sharing out on the outside of what his group chat talked about. I've heard, Brunson being a better guard than Kyrie Irving. You know what I mean? Like I've seen Brunson being knowing how to embrace the New York media and becoming a New York guy better than Kevin Durant. I've just seen the hottest takes, like piping hot. And my thing is, although Brunson is having such an amazing season, they still got to make the playoffs. They still got to, you know what I mean? Because we're at 50 games, 50, 51.
Trey, you clearly have not been in New York long enough if you're preaching caution.
No,
that's not what they do, baby.
I'm not preaching caution. I look at it like I'm just the realist, and I'm not trying to get sucked into this. So I understand there's 32 games left. Anything can happen. I'm glad. I mean, New York's a better city when the Knicks are good, so I love it. But those hot takes of these other players that have also played in this city, it's hard. You know what I mean? It's hard to do the whataboutisms and all these things, and of course, you're gonna have your disdain for the former Brooklyn Nets because they just didn't play for the Knicks. But I'm just not gonna put him over Kyrie Irving, and I'm not gonna put him over Kevin Durant. But I think that he's having an amazing year, and he deserves all of it. And I think he should have been a starter in the All-Star game.
So the Kevin Durant thing. Is it that he's playing the media better in New York or more embraced by New York than Kevin Durant, or that he's better at basketball than Kevin Durant? Because those are two different things. Like,
I just think like they're giving him the coining the term King of New York. Like it's just a lot of glazing, right? And it's kind of funny because like New Yorkers don't really do that. But like he's become one of their own. You know what I mean? Like, and the Villanova boys play really hard for Tibbs. So it's kind of like, it's funny because I do respect New York's grind, but it feels like New York's being the Detroit Lions of the NBA and saying how hard we are.
Really good comp, actually.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, we show up. We don't care about glamorizing superstars. We got the little guy and he drops 40 and our guys dive and we play 40 minutes and we don't miss games and we're tough. And it's like, you don't have to do that. Like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that because I like what Brunson is doing. I love the story that his dad's on the coaching staff. I love that he's been around. I love that, the fans made him cry over some overwhelming thing. But let him go for whatever, or let him do this or that, or let him and OG do some crap. Same way they were like, Julius Randle, yeah. And then it was like, heel turn. And now they're back loving him. So it's just the inconsistencies of it, and it's pretty fun, but interesting. It was a great social experiment for me.
Do you think any of this matters until like what happens in the playoffs?
No, because they just take whatever day. A win's a win, bruh. Like going 9-game win streak and being in the top 3 right now is a playoff win.
I think none of it matters. I don't think any of it matters now. It's sadly that this is the state of the NBA, that the Jalen Brunson story and the glory that he brings to the Knicks is rendered moot. Everything that's happened here is rendered moot if they lose in the first round. Because then it's about the Knicks again, right? That the Knicks are Knicksing.
The Knicks are Knicks. Back to reality. And like I said, I do, you know what I mean? Like I even heard some champion, what if they win the championship? And I'm like, I don't think they got it yet. I don't think they're like good enough. I don't think they can beat a Western Conference team in 4. I don't know if they can beat a Milwaukee in 4. You know what I'm saying? Well, in 7, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like
a lot of things would have to go right. And that's for a lot of East teams. That's for the Heat. That's for, obviously the 76ers
they're just
are out
not
now.
As strong as they were. A lot of these teams just aren't as strong as they were. And I like the Knicks' chances to advance beyond first, second, maybe Eastern Conference Finals. I like that. You heard it from Trey first.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Eastern Conference Finals, New York Knicks. But
and
I don't have
really
NBA
be
Finals.
the Lions of the NBA. They'd make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They'd make a big showing. They could talk about how they're set up for next year, and they have to take it as a win. I mean, Waz was on his Ringer show, his new Ringer show called, let me get that right, In My Feelings.
In My
and
Feelings,
he's saying, enjoy it,
yeah.
And my favorite part of that whole video with Waz was he wasn't even, there was no buy-in from him, you could tell. He was not, he was telling other people, other New Yorkers, enjoy it. Because he's still dubious, kind of like Trey is. Like, is this a championship team?
He knows it, man. Like, he
Probably
knows.
not, man.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm comparing the Knicks' current state to right now as I look out this window. It's 43 degrees, very sunny. It's a great ride.
43. Yeah.
It's still 43, man. It's still 43, but the sun's out, man.
Yeah.
I could actually go pick up trash and there's no snow out there. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, I got gratitude right now. And that's what I think Knicks fans have, gratitude. They understand.
All right. I've got Sutter is ready. I don't know. Is he in the room?
No. Do you have the link for him?
Yeah, I emailed him and texted it to him. He says he's ready.
Cool. Just give me a quick wrap up and then say we're jumping to the Patreon.
Okay. All right. So Trey has said that you can put it in ink. The New York Knicks are going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. How about that?
It's big.
It is big. Jalen Brunson, if you haven't checked it out, check out TomTheFinder.com. We did a video breakdown for 20 minutes on his game, his footwork, how he gets to the paint so relentlessly. We did it with Brandon Payne, so check that out if you want to go like high-level nerdy basketball stuff. But then go check out In My Feelings, Waz's show on The Ringer. Jalen Brunson, great story. The whole CAA thing is still crazy to me too. It just like in the clutch. Oh man, we didn't even touch the clutch stuff, but they had apparently a meeting of the minds and buried the hatchet in that clutch. There's not this vendetta anymore with the Knicks, but we'll save that for another show. Trade deadline is upon us. The Knicks are good again, and unfortunately, what's old is new again. Is Joel Embiid's hurt, and we're going to talk about it on the Patreon for our Patreon subscribers. With Brian Soderer here, who's the sports doc YouTube extraordinaire.